Peace, family. Peace, peace, peace. I am Chivata, aka King Chi, also known as Chitiki, and I am back with another tool for your toolkits. Welcome to our Wisdom Wednesdays. Today's video is entitled Too Powerful, Too Fast. This afternoon, I'd like to address a very serious and very common mental health issue or concern that occurs in the presence of quick ascension in spirituality. So, as you tune in, don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends and family, and of course, let everyone know that we are back in session. Thank you, Notification Squad. Thank you, Fairy Gang. What up to my family over there at Cole College? How are we? I hope you're doing well. And don't forget to put hearts in the chat because y'all know I love the love. Peace. So, before I get too far into the subject, let me know if you can hear me clearly. You can see me clearly. I did my best to get away from all of the external sounds. But happy solstice. Happy solstice to you all. Here we are, crossing the threshold into summertime. More events are opening up. More people are delving into spirituality and quickly looking for a means to release themselves from the limitations that their minds have given them, to release themselves from old doctrines. So let's talk about the side of it, the side effects, and some of the dangers for you as a person looking to get um, further ahead in your enlightenment journey. Some of the dangers that also exist for you who are a very powerful being and you decide to share your energy. So you don't want to miss this video. Okay? Peace, Jeremiah. Peace, Mia. Peace, Arika. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. So what came to me some years ago, I was sitting in divination and the oracle said to be careful who I teach. The conversation went on to say that not only will I need to be careful who I teach because of the information being, I guess, stolen. I'll use that word for lack of another word, but I can explain. And be careful of what I teach and who I teach and when I teach. Because it could come back to be harmful in some way, not intentionally, but because there's a lack of understanding. And over the years, I've watched either myself kind of experience what that was giving me a clue towards, and then I also watched others go through similar experiences. And although you may not compare the two, just as I was coming down the stairs to share this bit of wisdom with you about being careful who you share your energy with in a teaching way, meaning in a transference that gives someone a gateway to open their eyes on a certain level. Okay. As I was running down the stairs, I had this flashback to, those years of not fully understanding the gift of very powerful sexual energy. And the joke that we used to have back in the day was for men and women, for men and women who we didn't really have like a whole scientific, spiritual place to place this thing called you got the good. And this conversation is not even about that. But y'all know I like to bring things down to earth and then we can take it up to the heavens. All right. But it was like we used to say to each other, me, my homegirls, my homeboys, be careful out there. You can't get everybody the full 100. Press 1 in the chat if you're familiar with that saying. You can't give everybody the full 100. And if you're familiar with that saying, then, good for you. But we used to say that because if you laid with someone and you had a particular kind of energy that would give a person this kind of outer body experience, regardless of the nature of the connection, that person, if they were not prepared, if they were not mentally prepared to experience that, they will go crazy. And that's such a general term, right? To say someone will go crazy, because we understand that crazy can mean many things. But what I found interesting in this lightning strike of humor as I ran down the stairs, right, to give you this information, is that the transference necessary in spiritual initiation from guru to student, or teacher to student, or or baba to initiate in whatever school of wisdom that you're practicing in, sheikh to murid. Let me make it even more clearer, because not everyone has the opportunity nor the privilege to work one-on-one or receive energy one-on-one. Even in a group scenario where there's going to be intense work done to open up the gates within your energetic body so your psychic frequency can be tuned up, right? So that you can tune into a psychic frequency and see beyond where you have been limited before. If you had not been previously given some type of regimen to prepare you for seeing the light of certain situations in your life, seeing the light of particular demons you might have, seeing the light of particular projections you might hold, seeing the light shined on certain things that you've been hiding for a long time, okay? Once you get over the bliss that occurs, everyone experiences this bliss. Whenever the frequency lifts in and around the body, a person experiences this increase in creativity, an increase in access to love that is freely open to give and to receive. They become very receptive. And that feeling of being in flow, that feeling of being very receptive, opens up the mind to such a state that the person is not in a space of identifying with their concrete ego self that keeps them separate from everyone. And although that state of being is what we strive for, where we can be unbothered because all things we can find and integrate how they relate to us in some form or fashion. When the high comes down, the mind can crash. And so it is very wise to pay attention to instructions being given when preparing yourself to do meditations. If you're going to be doing an ongoing meditation that is supposed to open up your nerves, that is supposed to purge you, that is supposed to help to refine and align the nerve messages, the neurons, and how they're going to be communicating with one another, the brain balancing, anything that is going to tap into that sphere of your body. You want to pay close attention to how you respond, not just in the presence of that event or that person that takes you there. You want to be mindful that if you didn't follow the instructions moving into it, there's a much higher chance of a crash and burn, and attack as well. And I just want to share with you all why these kinds of things occur. Because sometimes it can be very confusing to an individual why they can experience such great love and admiration for someone, and at the peak of their experience with the individual, suddenly things seem to crumble right after. Okay? And with ignorance, due to ignorance or lack of proper information regarding psychology and how the psyche works, one can easily feel fixated on blaming an external force or projecting that there's something that is not there to soothe the injury that has occurred due to exposure to high frequency in an area that was not prepared. Okay? We kind of laugh on the love and light. We laugh, ha ha ha, love and light. That's so, not scary. But we fail to recognize that we spend so much time in such a low frequency, animalistic, survival of the fittest mindset that to get into that realm of bliss, of love, light, clarity, and unbotheredness, and not unbotheredness because you can eat every bad thing around you. It's not I've become the Kalima of my existence and now I can chop everyone's head off and I feel empowered. There's an empowerment on a side of feeling absolutely in touch with the God self that can see more clearly how minute some of the experiences we've had really are in our lives, how freeing it is to be detached from the burden of societal agreements that you're supposed to feel this way or that way because of whatever the circumstance is. When we hit those levels of high frequency, yes, you can experience a break. And it happens. It actually happens. And I want to make sure that we don't become afraid of that break, that we become more aware of the sacred nature of a very high light frequency, that if your life and your thought patterns, your habits, your dedication, your commitment to being in that frequency, if it is not all the way secure, it is very possible to kind of like get kicked out of the light club. And that clarity becomes a nightmare. Press 1 in the chat if you've ever met anyone or you yourself have experienced it after having reached a high place of ascension, especially following an intense sadhana or discipline, an intense ceremony, or energetic session, where after experiencing it and coming back into the realms of everyday life, it's like a sucker punch out of nowhere. You go from floating on cloud 9 to how the hell did I end up behind the gates of hell? That person, like it's natural to go, oh, that person must have did something to me. Because I don't even know how I got that high. I ain't never been that high in my life. Everything was amazing. And now what's happening, right? All right, so when I speak on preparedness, I want to give you some of the factors that can lead someone to having what is considered clinically a psychotic break after being exposed to very high frequencies of energy. And here are some of them. I had to go through research, but also some things that I've seen in the field. All right. And then you can gather why, but I'll just share a little bit on why. So one of the factors for someone experiencing what is a psychotic break after experiencing really, really amazing positive energy is that they harbor dark secrets. They are harboring a lot of secrets. All right. The next factor for someone to experience this is if they go from this beautiful experience in a retreat setting, right? It's vibrationally been treated and set to keep and host and facilitate these high energetic beings. And they leave that environment open, right? The spirit feels safe, it's open. And they return to a space that is no bueno. That space that they return to is unclean. It's unclean physically, it's unclean spiritually. And when they go in there, they're bringing so much food. You think that demonic energies only eat your farts, your energetic farts, just your fears, just your doubts, just your bad words and your anger? No, that's just snacks. The greatest energy that the more stronger demons will eat are going to be your light. And so going from a realm of cleanliness and high vibration into a space of uncleanliness and spiritual disaster, right? That person is too vulnerable. Okay? They're too vulnerable. They're too open. If they had not followed through with the regimen that they're supposed to be given. And I say supposed to be given because I know some of y'all like to retreat hop or, spiritual house hop or dibble and dabble. And I cannot vouch for everyone who is putting together these beautiful looking events that they're all fully trained or capable of giving the necessary information or tools necessary so that the circle gets closed properly. But that's the thing, okay? So I'm just giving you information so that you can make mature decisions about how you level up, because I want you to continue to level up. But you also have to be responsible for your psyche and your ascension and what some of the aftermath entails. Next. This is a thing. Because my people, we love us some spirituality because we're spiritual beings. We run away from acknowledging psychological issues. And many people will not answer that they do have pre-existing psychological dis-ease or diagnosis of a history of dis-ease or imbalance. But when there's a pre-existing condition, that means there are some weaker bridges in the mind. And that person may have been on medication at one time and decide not to say anything about it because they figure they got it under control. But through the healing process, especially in holistic medicine, there is not the Band-Aid approach. Where there is anything that needs to be mended, it's going to be opened up first. So it's like if you have a pre-existing lesion and now you're coming in to let the spirits work, the healers work, they're going to cut it open and everything that's been growing underneath that Band-Aid is going to come out. And that pre-existing thing is going to leap out so that it can be seen. And now you can't keep it to yourself. More people see it. Make sense? So it's helpful to make sure that when you're going into either a group or one-on-one session that involves ascension and opening up your psyche and reprogramming the brain, that you let your leaders, your facilitators, even if it's the facilitators, the administration who contacts you and sends you forms and all that stuff, let them know what's up. Because it may not be impossible for you to participate, but it's absolutely necessary that someone attends to you with proper care before, during, and after. All right. Now, this last thing that I'm going to share with you. Hi, Ngome. It's Peaches. Don't forget. Shout out to everybody in the chat. What's up, Saray Love 17? What's up, Davey Tayo Moyo? What up, T's in the building? Ngome. This last thing that I'm going to share with you is something that gets overlooked. And I started on it in the beginning in regards to when you get higher and higher and higher up, you're able to identify less with the self or the personality that you're used to from day to day, and more with a universal self. Now, that is an experience that the more you experience it, the more you get used to it. And so you can carry that kind of embodiment without any harm to the personality that gets you through your day-to-day. But what can become harmful is if an individual does not have a very strong sense of self. And in these environments, we find people who have reached such a low in their lives for whatever reason. It's not always a low, but I'm going to address it, right? For whatever reason, they've come to this place of like, I just don't know what I'm here for. Okay, it's a level of anxiety. It is a type of anxiety. I don't know what I'm here for. It's called existential anxiety. I don't know what I'm here for. I don't see my purpose here, and I'm really searching for this moment of clarity that will piece everything together for me because I feel lost. It's like perfect. Oh, it's a perfect opportunity. Like you sound kind of depressed, and it happens because you know, this is unfortunately common, right? But if that is the state of being that an individual is in, and they really don't feel anchored down in their sense of self, when that higher frequency comes in, that little self that was even left can easily get knocked out. And so when the person is supposed to have come back, they are not back all the way. Retreat is over, session done, and whatever energy they identified with, they now believe like this is who they are. Like, I just came out of a session. I'm not saying this is a real story, but this is like an example. I just came out of a session. I was like so full of love. I could feel the energy vibrating from my hands, and people around me were responding with this awe, and they were crying, and they were shaking, and they were feeling all of this thing. And like, I just know that I am, the embodiment of Shekmet. I was just taking people's demons down. They saw it. They told me, I could feel it. Like I was a lion. I was a lioness. I could feel it. Other people saw it. They witnessed it. And like they're going, now the person just is behaving in this way that they expect the world to respond to this deity that they feel they've embodied now. They're like tuned in, locked in, and this is what it is. And they don't have any other evidence that this identity is really them. They don't have evidence that this is a real thing other than the one experience. But I can tell you as a practice medium that there will be times where an energy is so intense in identifying in a space that it can feel like this is me. But it's with practice, through experience, through being able to have the will or the ego or the sense of self to ask questions and converse with the energy without just automatically accepting that this energy that is present is me now, gives a person more power over and possession over themselves of when and how and whether they need to push an energy out or when they're going to pull it in. But if that sense of self is too blurry, that person no longer has a grip on reality. And it can be very scary for them because they can't explain what's happening with them without sounding crazy, right? But more so the people around them who may not have been present when this energy came in, they're totally freaked out and don't know what the hell happened to the person that they sent to experience this enlightenment, because now they came back and they want me to serve them these ritual items to eat. They don't want to eat regular food anymore because they're God. But they're withering away because I don't know. We don't have that. And these are real examples of what happens when someone is not respecting the delicate nature of the psyche and being exposed to high vibrational beings in energetics. Our electronics tell us all the time, how much voltage can this piece of equipment take? Yes, if it gets exposed to a higher voltage, the thing might operate, the light bulb might come on, but the light bulb might come on, get all the way bright, and then break, bust wide open. Why? Because that particular piece of equipment was not built for that much power. Now, what's beautiful about the human being experience is that through training, through practice, through regimen, through discipline, we can refine ourselves on so many different levels, spiritually, physically, emotionally, right? Psychologically, so that we can actually have higher amounts of energy move through us safely. But it's through the respect of the mind and its delicate nature and our true selves that we will be able to carry the energy forward. So, like the first thing that I mentioned, I didn't even give any examples of why it happens this way. When being exposed to these high frequency beings, okay, these otherworldly beings, these beings that can travel in and out of dimension. When someone is harboring a lot of dark secrets, and I say dark secrets like they're aware of these things and they are aware that they are holding them down. It's like it's like having a pot. You made some stew in. You rinse it out, but you don't wash it out. And so like there's some grit on the insides. And so there, forever and ever, any party ever touches it, that you can actually cook in it, right? But if you go and you keep immersing it in hot water and immersing it in hot water and scrubbing and scrubbing and scrubbing and scrubbing and scrubbing, that stuff is bound to start to loosen up and come out. The first reason why anybody even wants to stuff certain things is because it's too painful. And whatever they needed to do to stuff it, they stuffed it because they didn't have the tools to really deal with it or to own it openly. So if they're going to get exposed to this frequency that decides to and chip away and chip away and chip away until it comes up, it's like painful. And it can cause a person to break psychologically because now one aspect of the mind has reached a frequency of being detached from this good or bad. It's like life is what it is, things happen, okay? And holding on for dear life to the reality that I want to stay the same. I want to stay the same and I don't ever want to face this, but I've just ascended to this place where I'm no longer the same. And we get this mind going here, mind going here. All right. So shadow work is a powerful preparation for ascension work. Because little by little, you can have conversations that are necessary and you can purge along the way and transform or transmute whatever relationships that are connected to things that you've been holding on to, letters you might need to burn, pictures that you might need to get rid of, uh, questions you may need to ask. Okay? Shadow work is not just for the people around you so that they don't keep on getting caught up in your BS and you keep on blaming everyone else. But it's for you so that you can create more space for light to come in. Truly, communicate that and say, I want to power up, but I want to master this level first. Like, because if I keep it real, there's certain things I just want to hold on to. And while I work through these aspects of myself, the more I love me in this state of being, is the freer I feel. Because if you power up too fast, it can be very dangerous for you and for the person who decides to lovingly open up, share some of their shade with you, and then you turn around and you're like, I don't bang with you anymore. I'm something, I feel uncomfortable now. It's like, okay, all of these things can be true. But as adults who are watching videos like this and are curious and are around people who are looking to you for some type of confirmation or encouragement to try something new, take this information seriously and apply it to your practice. Because just jumping off the edge can be detrimental to your well-being if you don't do the proper introspection and follow regimens that have been given to you in preparation. You know what I mean? Y'all have any questions about this topic here? Any questions? Any testimonials to having that experience? So, I see some of you are sharing that you've experienced this yourself as far as taking some licks for not following instructions and straddling the fence. That's a whole nother thing. Yes, straddling the fence between I want to stay here and I want to go there. One foot on the wagon and one foot on the corner of the street. One is gonna have to give, and in between you gonna get hurt. But yeah, when you're working, I really encourage you all, like if you're working with me or you're working with Baba T and you have questions or you feel any type of intense emotion, it's good to check in because the way that energy moves, a lot of times it's not necessarily what you think initially, especially if it's a new energy. Unfortunately, it's like what I've come to notice is it sucks, but it's a reality. It's like where individuals may have come across as like, uh, like super fans, like people who are like super fans. They're like, oh my God, I just love you so much. And like, I can't take it. I don't think those kind of people, which may be some of you, right? I don't think that those kind of people mean any harm. But when there are these other factors that exist and one exposes themselves to being opened up a certain kind of way, that heart that has never been touched that way does not know how to translate it into, oh, this is medicine. that heart might only know that if I feel this good, there's something else there beyond that. This is not just medicine. This is a personal, uh, intimate love connection in a sexual way, or this is a, this is a flame connection. Yo, if you don't know any better, you might have that experience, but it can end up disastrous in so many ways. Let me see. I like these questions. I have a question here from Cody. I feel like that has happened often, but I have gotten better at piecing myself back together. Also, does the shadow work ever end? Does the shadow work ever end? Huh. I don't know. I don't stop doing shadow work and I'm not done. So I don't know if it ever ends. I could imagine that if someone no longer sees that they have a shadow to all levels of diplomacy and compassion and are able to differentiate between diplomacy and being an outright liar, and yeah, this is like a, that's what I'm saying. Like, I could imagine that I would be very considerate, and if I decide that in a moment I shouldn't share certain information with someone because my discernment says this is not really ready for them, but on the flip side they want the information, like, we're always engaging with one another. So it's like it's a time and place. I don't think that it's something that needs to be done every single day, forever and ever, every day. No. There's time to work on yourself and there's time to apply what has been done. Like, time to work on yourself and then just be. Time to work on yourself and then just be. And then just be, and then be until something becomes a hiccup. And then be curious about it. You see what I'm saying? Because that's more perfect than trying to be a perfect version of yourself that is acceptable to every environment that you walk into. That's impossible. And that's psychotic in itself. That's going to create psychosis. You feel what I'm saying? Let me see. Saray says, so how do you repair yourself after being short-circuited? So there's extremes and then there's subtle things. So if someone ends up short-circuited to the point where they split from themselves, they may need medication to bring the brain back to a certain level of normalcy so that they can see themselves more clearly. And then the work to mend can begin. Now, whether it is pharmaceutical chemicals or chemicals from the earth, depends on that person's practice and belief system. But I am not a doctor of psychology, so I cannot tell you what drugs would be necessary or if they are necessary. I do know from my research that it is one of the things that calls for medication. Okay. And someone who is, who does have a psychology background and a holistic background will lean towards the combination of both. Something chemical to help balance the chemicals in the brain, and then a therapeutic approach of discussion, because there will be a discussion of what comes up that led to that break. And they would need to know the right questions to ask to figure out, like a detective, which information was withheld that got open that created this break in reality. Okay? That's the extreme leg of it. The other side of it would be if you experience that in a group setting, that you have another session that's one-on-one with maybe someone who is outside of the realms of what you're doing to hold space for your reality along with the practitioner you're working with, okay, to bring you back into alignment. And then you will have your own homework to do, which may require some meditations, certain chants, a certain dietary regimen, okay, and even a break so that your mind can relax and mend. I hope that was helpful today. Kendra said, hence why healers have to be careful with who they work with. Might end up with a whole stalker that doesn't understand medicine. Oh, yeah, it has happened. That's a fact. Been there. Mia said, I was yesterday years old when I finally surrendered. I sincerely apologize to my ancestors. It's not worth it because I damn near lost myself and forgot who I was. All right. It happens. It happens. So, yes, I am very grateful for everyone who showed up for this Wisdom Wednesdays. Because we all want to tap into our power. We want to do so safely. We want to do so in a way that we can live to experience what it's like to live in that power and to pass it on. And we want to respect those who have an abundance of energies that can assist with bridging the gap between how much work you might have to do in order to reach certain levels and being able to zap you with information and a frequency that will open you up. Okay? Definitely want to show gratitude for all those individuals who can do that. Lastly, thank you to everybody who enjoyed the Juneteenth sale. That was so much fun. And just as an update, for those of you who are worried about not being able to attend the Fay Tree Foundation Gala event, the date has been changed. To Saturday, September 23rd, 2023. So it'll be this fall. So don't be scary. You can go to my page on Facebook and click the link to the Eventbrite to purchase your tickets. Now you have plenty of time to prepare for it. And I look forward to seeing more of you in the building and connecting even more in person along the way, as there will be a couple of charity events leading up to it. As usual, something we do every year anyway. All right, so peace, love, and bliss to you all. Thank you for being here. It's always a pleasure. I'm out.